What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. We continue with our 2022 predictions. The Nebraska Cornhuskers are up next. Here are some of the predictions for Nebraska. You see the FPI has them at 7.8 and 4.5, so about 8 and 4. Athlon not as high. They're at 6 and 6. The over/under is at 7.5. So, Athlon a little bit lower. That's, normally these predictions are all pretty much the same, maybe within a game or whatever. But yeah, the FPI going with 8 and 4, Athlon going with 6 and 6. It's usually the opposite. FPI is usually really conservative with the record, so that's interesting. It's interesting that Athlon just doesn't seem to believe in this Nebraska team. Of course, last season lost so many close games. It just seemed like every single week they had a chance to get a big win, and they found a way to lose a game. Can they turn that around this year? You look at the team, I think the roster is a little bit better. They've done a nice job in the transfer portal. Defense kind of reloading there. Offensive line will be a big key for them. I think that's going to determine a lot of their success this year. Casey Thompson, I think, is a little bit of an upgrade from Adrian Martinez. Adrian Martinez, when he didn't turn the football over, was actually a pretty good quarterback. I think he's underrated a little bit. But if Casey Thompson can come in and do a little bit more, take care of the football a little bit better, that could be the difference. That could be the difference in a lot of these close games. So I think Nebraska should have a good season this year. You have to figure that those close games that they lost last year, some of them are going to turn around and be wins this season. We'll see how it plays out. I was really high on Nebraska a couple of years ago. Of course, I picked them to win the Big Ten West. It was a little premature on that, obviously. They did not do too well that season, but you go back to last year, they could have been there. I think I picked Wisconsin to win the West last year, but Nebraska could have been there. As crazy as it sounds, a 3-9 record could have easily been a 9-3, 10-2 type season if they just won some of those close games. So let's get into the 2022 schedule. They will open up with Northwestern. Of course, this is going to be in Ireland. It's a week 0 game. A lot of people think this is just going to be an easy win for Nebraska. They look back to last year's game, but I'm telling you, Northwestern's going to be better this year. They will be improved. How much improved, it's hard to say right now, but Nebraska, I think, will also be a little bit improved. But I think this is going to be a close game. I think it will be a 4-quarter game, first game of the season. I think both teams will be a little bit rusty, and I think it will be a close game, and that could be bad news for Nebraska if they can't find a way to win these close games. But I think they do. I think they start off the season. It's maybe not a 1-score win for them. Maybe it's a 10-point win or a 14-point win. But I do think that they will win this game against Northwestern. And then I think they'll beat North Dakota and Georgia Southern as well. So I've got them starting off the season at 3-0. Next game is against Oklahoma. Oklahoma, that game last year was really good, really close. This year I expect more of the same. I've gone back and forth on this game. I think Oklahoma's going to be pretty good this year. Might even be the best team in the Big 12. Nebraska, though, like I said, I think they're going to be a little bit better this year. If they can take care of the football in this game, if Casey Thompson can play well, of course he knows Oklahoma from playing at Texas. I think home field advantage could be the difference. I'm going to pick Nebraska to beat Oklahoma. Very close game, really good game, but I'm going to go with the Cornhuskers. I've got them starting off 4-0. They'll play Indiana after that, a home game again for Nebraska. They don't have any true road games until they play on the road at Rutgers. Indiana is a team that I think will be improved this year, similar to Northwestern. I think Northwestern and Indiana both had really bad seasons last year. I think both of these teams will be better this year, but I don't know how much better. Probably not enough to beat Nebraska, especially at Nebraska. I'm going to take the Cornhuskers in a game that's kind of similar to Northwestern. They win it by a couple of scores. And I've got them starting off 5-0 before playing Rutgers on the road. First, again, true road game. They'll probably start off slow in this one. Rutgers is not going to be terrible this year, but I don't know that they're really going to be able to match up with Nebraska. I mean, it's possible. We've seen upsets, of course, in college football so many times, but I just think Nebraska will have some confidence. That 5-0 start will get them some confidence, give them what they need to go in there in the fourth quarter and beat a decent Rutgers team on the road and get their first true road win of the season. Purdue is up next on October the 15th. On the road, a very solid Purdue team this year, a team that I think is going to have a very explosive offense. Defense, maybe not so much. So we kind of think this one's going to be a shootout. Probably a back and forth type game. It's really a toss-up. It's a coin flip type game, 50-50 game, and usually when that's the case, I'm just going to go home field advantage. I'm going to say Purdue will give Nebraska their first loss of the season, going Boilermakers there, as the Nebraska will fall to 6-1. Then they'll play Illinois. They'll get a bye week, plus it's a revenge game. Remember last season, it kind of shocked the college football world when Illinois beat Nebraska in that first game, especially the way that game started. I think Nebraska will be locked and loaded for this one. I think this team wins big. They get their revenge. They beat Illinois, and they go to 7-1. Minnesota coming up next, a veteran team. Talent-wise, probably not quite as good as Nebraska, but experience-wise, I'm telling you, this team with Tanner Morgan back at quarterback, the running backs they have, this is going to be a good Minnesota team, a team that I think will be right there in contention in the Big Ten West. I think Nebraska will be a good team, though, as well, and this one, again, is a toss-up for me, a 50-50 game, and I'm going to go with home field advantage. Going to say that Nebraska beats Minnesota, but that will definitely be a tough one there. I've got them getting to 8-1 before playing Michigan on the road. Michigan, this is going to be a team that, once again, will be probably a top 10 team, maybe not as good as they were last year, but that's a tough place to play. At Michigan, I think Michigan will be the better team, not by a huge margin, but I do think they are the better team. Plus, they're playing at home, so no real reason to pick Nebraska here. I'm going to say Michigan wins it, and they give Nebraska their second loss of the season. Wisconsin coming up next on November the 19th. Home game for Nebraska. This should be another good one. I think you're going to see a lot of really good games from Nebraska this year. Let's go back to Oklahoma, probably a really good game. Purdue, a really good game. Minnesota, a really good game. Michigan, probably a pretty good game. Then you've got Wisconsin, Iowa. So you're talking about a lot of close games once again, just like we saw last season, and this will be one of them. Wisconsin with their run game, will that be enough for them to get a win here? Again, this is a toss-up type game. I'm going to go with the home field advantage. I'm going to say that Nebraska beats Wisconsin in a close one. Really good game, but give me Nebraska, and that will put them at 9-2 before playing Iowa on the road in the final game of the season. Nebraska has just not been able to beat Iowa for several years now. Iowa has their number. Iowa is playing at home. I think the teams are pretty similar, pretty even matchup. There's just too much going in the favor of Iowa. Again, they've got that in their heads where they have dominated the series as of late. Plus, they're playing at home. Nebraska already at 9-2. They're due for a loss here, probably a close game. But I'm going to go with Iowa. So I think Nebraska goes 9-3, a little bit higher than some of the other predictions. This team has potential to win the Big Ten West, potential to maybe even do better than 9-3. But again, we talk about these close games. Look at Oklahoma, could be a loss. Look at Minnesota, could be a loss. Wisconsin could be a loss. Maybe there's an upset in there. So you can see how this team could go 6-6 like Athlon is predicting. But I think they're an 8-4, 9-3 type team. I'm going to say that Nebraska goes 9-3 in 2022.